Hey, this is Dallin with Dallin Parker Consulting, and I want to welcome you to our very first episode of Know Your Triggers, where each week we're going to break down a different Power Automate trigger and show you how it can save you time. Today, we're looking at one of the most common triggers, and that is when an item is created in Sharepoint. Now, this trigger fires the moment a new item is added to a SharePoint list. And for those who aren't familiar or aren't using SharePoint lists, you can think of them as your digital filing cabinet for requests or projects or any general data. A lot of the things that we're keeping in Excel files for project tracking could and probably should be moved to SharePoint lists, assuming we don't have access to a more robust database system. Now, with this trigger, as soon as someone drops in a new record, Power Automate is ready to move. And when we're establishing this in Power Automate, we look here, we've got our when an item is created, and we can see that it's only asking for two parameters. We're looking for the site address, which would be a drop down list here provided that contains all of the SharePoint sites that you're a member of or connected to. And then we have our list name. And as we select our site, it will then filter down to any lists that are associated with that particular site. And with those two parameters, we are ready to do any number of things. In this case, we're going to just post a message into a channel to notify the team that a new item has been created. But I've also used this flow or this trigger to pre-populate planner cards, to populate folders with all of the project templates. I've used this to trigger approval flows and notifications on IT tickets, and also used it in some HR professional development methodologies so that when a new item is created, it notifies the entire team that a new skill is added or any number of items there. So in this, we can see when a new item is created, it's posting our message to our chat and channel, and we are connected to our event registration list. So if we come here, we can now see that the event registration list is empty. We've got a few columns. The title would be the name of the person registering, and then the session and a few other items there. We have connected this list via another flow that we'll cover in another day to a Microsoft form. And this Microsoft form is our event registration form that would be customer facing. They come in, populate their information, and we'll go ahead and hit submit. And as I said, this is kicking off yet another flow that we'll cover with when a form response is submitted. But in this video, the primary thing we want to see is when this item is created, we should hopefully get a notification in our Teams chat. So let's go ahead and hit refresh here and see if we've got our new item. There we go. We've got Dallin Parker created, and we'll give this a moment to create the Teams notification. And while that does, we'll come back over here to our flow and check the 28-day run history. We can see, oh, there for a second it was running. Perfect. We now have a new message posted. There we go. We have new registration for events, session 1, session 3, name's Dallin Parker. If I want more details about this, I can hit link to item, and it will provide all of the information associated with this particular person's registration. So I can see that they need shuttle service. And some other options that we could do with this is if they did need shuttle service, we could get that information from the create item or when an item is created and go ahead and kick off the auto notification to the shuttle team that there's another person being added so that no one's having to interface or step in between there. And then it just streamlines that process. So now that's the SharePoint when an item is created trigger. It's very simple, but it is incredibly powerful for streamlining work intake and kicking off other processes. Now, next week, we're going to look at the trigger that I think almost everyone can use, and that's when an email is received. So get ready for that one. If this was helpful, go ahead and hit subscribe and check the link in the description for my LinkedIn series where I post a quick breakdown every single week for these videos.